Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 10 must pick or ban champions for patch 7.11. So I think I'm going to start up this new kind of video series for every patch with Riot moving it to a 10 ban system now. I think each patch I'm going to make one of these videos and go over which 10 champions are probably the strongest and which ones you should be looking to pick or ban for that patch. So that being said guys, let's get started. So starting it off here, this one shouldn't really be too much of a surprise. The number one must pick or ban champ for this patch is Zac. So Zac's rework at first turned out really bad. They buffed him and he went from one of the worst junglers to probably the best champion in the game overall. Zac's kit is just very strong overall for solo queue. He's got great pick potential with his elastic slingshot. His ultimate just allows him to make some really crazy plays. He can jump in and just end up pulling the enemy squishy targets and high priority targets back into his team, and his CC that he provides, like with his Q, his E, and his ultimate, is pretty much unmatched by any other jungler. So I think that if Zac is not banned in this patch, then you should look to pick him up for sure, but if you don't want to deal with him, then I'd be looking to ban him 100%. So next up here is going to be Fizz. So Fizz mid lane is still a very good pick. This isn't really for top lane Fizz. Top lane Fizz, he kind of fell off quite a bit after those nerfs, but mid lane Fizz is still very strong and he does definitely deserve some recognition in this video. He's a very strong pick for solo queue. Right now, a lot of the meta mid laners consist of Ahri, Orianna, Twisted Fate, Syndra. Those are the 4 most picked mid laners in this patch, and Fizz does really well into all of them. He easily can beat Twisted Fate if he knows what he's doing. His outplay potential on Syndra is very easy because of his E, which he can use to dodge your ultimate. So I think that if you do end up picking Fizz into one of those meta mid lane picks, you can do very well for yourself in 7.11. Number 3 on this list for this patch is going to be another mid laner here, and it's going to be Kassadin. So Kassadin is another great mid lane assassin right now. He's great in this meta, kind of for the same reasons why Fizz is good right now. He's good into a lot of the meta picks, pretty much the same picks that Fizz is good into. He's one of the best roaming mid laners as well at level 6. If you can just survive the first few levels as Kassadin, hit your level 6, and you're still even in the laning phase, then you've pretty much won, or you've basically won lane at that point, because your level 6 is very strong. You can look to roam around and influence the map and just get a really good snowball going in the early game. And then if you do get to your core items pretty early on, it's so hard to stop a Kassadin split push, and it's also very hard to deal with him in team fights because he can just jump in and he can one-shot your AD carry before you can really even react to CC him or try to shut him down. Next up here is going to be a top lane pick, and it's Fiora. So Fiora right now is the best top lane split pushing champion that you can play for this patch. There's very few champions that can actually deal with her in a 1v1 scenario. Once she does get to 3 or 4 items, she's great against pretty much any tank top laner right now. She also does pretty well into most top lane matchups besides Pantheon. Pantheon's really the only pick that kind of hard counters her in the laning phase. As long as you can survive lane though as Fiora, if you can get to your like 2 to 3 item spike, then you're going to be able to split push very easily. You're going to draw pressure around the map, and what I would look to do if you are going to play Fiora is just try to tell your team to set up for a Baron play if you are going for a split push, because if you can play Fiora well, you should be able to win 1v2s pretty easily, and sometimes even 1v3s if you are ahead with the champion. I would be looking to ban or pick this top laner in this patch if you don't want to deal with Fiora split push. So taking the number 5 spot here is going to be Yasuo. So Yasuo, with the new 10 ban system, everybody's been talking about how this champion is just going to be permaban now and how he is never going to see any play anymore. I think that he does deserve a ban or a pick in this patch, and he does deserve a spot on this list. After they did change items like Guardian Angel, they also reduced the price of Zeal, and they also reduced the price of Infinity Edge. So it just allows Yasuo to have a much stronger mid-game power spike. He already did have a good mid-game power spike a while ago before those items got changed, but it's even better now. With them also nerfing Ninja Tabis in this patch, it's a buff to Yasuo because less AD carries and less mid laners are going to be building that in this patch, and therefore it's going to be a lot easier for you to deal a load of damage in team fights and just burst down those squishy targets. Next up here is probably going to be the second most problematic jungler in the game right now, being Ivern. Ivern has been strong for the past like 5 or 6 months now. He's constantly had one of the highest win rates for any jungler, and he's just overall been a very strong pick and a very easy pick to do well with in solo queue. If you play a good Ivern, you basically guarantee yourself a 3 buff in the early game. You shut down the enemy jungler pretty hard, and if you do reach the mid to late game and you have your AD carry champion with a few items, you just throw your shields on them and you just watch them carry you the game. I think that Ivern is still a great pick. Unless they do nerf him a little bit more in these coming patches, then he's going to be a pick or ban for a few patches to come. Taking the next place here on this list is going to be a mid lane champion that's really flying under the radar so far in this patch, and it's Malzahar. So Malzahar in 7.11 got some really good buffs to his Q, his E, and his ultimate. His W got nerfed, which kind of nerfed the support Malzahar that was strong, but with them buffing the AP ratio on his Q, his E, and also giving his ultimate a base damage as well as a 1.15 AP scaling, it makes mid lane Malz a very strong pick. His ultimate is a very easy tool to just catch the enemies out of position, and it also does a load of damage now. If you hit that on a squishy target, it's going to chunk them down to around half HP. If you are pretty fed, it'll even chunk them lower. So I think that Malz in this patch, he's a very simple mid lane pick, probably one of the easiest mid laners that you can play, and because of that and because of the buffs he got in this patch, he's one of the best mid lane champions that you can pick for 7.11. Another really strong jungle pick in 7.11 that isn't really seeing a whole lot of play is Warwick. So if you are in the lower elos especially, I would recommend swapping out your Ivern picker ban for Warwick, because I think that Warwick is just a very easy, very strong, and very consistent jungler for patch 7.11. He's one of the best skirmishing junglers in the game. He gets the damage reduction from his E, which is really good for those early game skirmishes. If you do get in a 2v2 or a 3v3 scenario, then the likelihood of you winning that with Warwick is very high, because the enemies just won't do a lot of damage to you. You're also going to be able to fear the enemies with your E, and then you have the sustain with your Q too. So especially if Warwick gets ahead early, he's just going to be able to tank really well in team fights. He's going to have a lot of sustain, and it's just going to be super hard to kill the Warwick. Now, the only AD carry that's going to be featured in this video for this patch is going to be Twitch. So Twitch is arguably the strongest AD carry for 7.11, with other AD carries like Caitlyn and Lucian getting little nerfs recently. It does make Twitch even stronger for this patch. There's a few reasons to why Twitch is pretty good right now though in 7.11. Number one, a lot of the meta supports do complement Twitch very nicely. We have Lulu being played a lot, Karma, all of these like supportive support champions that can do a very good job at keeping the Twitch alive in a mid to late game team fight. And if Twitch stays alive in a late game team fight, then he basically solo carries the game. He's the best late game AD carry right now statistically in 7.11. So as long as your team doesn't hard feed in the early game and you can scale a little bit with Twitch, then your mid to late game is very strong, and you're gonna have a very good chance to carry on this champion in 7.11. And then the final pick here for this video is going to be Ahri. Now, Ahri did get a bit of a nerf to her W and her ultimate in this patch. Her E got buffed, and those changes really didn't affect her too much at all. If you do still end up hitting your charm on Ahri, then your full combo, like the amount that it got nerfed, is very little. So she's still a very strong pick overall for solo queue. She does great against a lot of the meta mid lane picks too. She can do very well against Orianna, who is one of the most picked mid laners in 7.11. She's just a very safe and just a very reliant mid lane pick due to the fact that she does have her ultimate, which provides 3 dashes. She's also got her charm, which is completely game changing. If you do get ahead as Ahri, you can constantly be looking for picks with the champion. You can dash in, look for charms on the high priority targets, and you can solo carry games with this champion if you know what you're doing. And then lastly here, to round out the video, I just want to note that not every single one of these champions is a must pick or ban for every single elo. So 3 champions that I would not recommend banning if you are in the lower elos would be Ivern, Twitch, and Ahri. I did note earlier that I would trade like your Ivern picker ban for Warwick, and then for Twitch and Ahri, if you're in the lower elos, I would instead look into banning like Darius or Zed right now. Darius seems to be one of the best top laners for this patch in the lower elos, and then and Zed is always just a very hard champion to deal with if you are playing AD carry or mid lane, because you rarely ever get any peel, like in the lower ranks especially, and even when you move up into the ranks you still don't get a lot of peel. So Zed is just a very hard champion to deal with if you are playing one of those carry roles, so it's not a bad idea to ban him out if you do have a hard time against him. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. These are the 10 champions in this patch that I think are the strongest, and they're the 10 picks that you should either be looking to pick up in 7.11 or you should be looking to ban. So that being said, guys, if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.